Hello, welcome to this presentation of Big Data Analytics. My name is Yoane Lopes. I'm currently studying as an MBA at Birmingham City University. This presentation is aimed at reviewing a series of papers published on Big Data Analytics to ascertain whether it's a fad or solution which allows organizations to in taking any strategic advantage from any perceived value held within its data and possibly assist management in a decision process. We live in an increasingly digitalized world. Everything we do creates data. Whether we instantiate a friend on Facebook, whether we go see a doctor, whether we go shopping. We're generating much more data compared to the past. The rate at which this is happening is much higher, and the projections, this is going to increase even more in years to come. It's estimated 6 of the world's 7 billion people have mobile phones. The world's data is doubling almost every year. According to Forbes, IBM estimated that every day 2.5 quintillion bytes of data are created. As of 2013, 90% of world's data has been created in the previous 2 years alone. 2.8 zettabytes of data, equivalent to 2.8 trillion gigabytes of data has been created worldwide in 2012. 40 zettabytes of data is projected to be created by 2020. 50 billion instant messages are expected to be sent each day in 2014. Over 6 billion hours of video are watched every month on YouTube. 100 hours of videos uploaded on YouTube every minute. Close to 6 billion Google searches are performed each day. The problem with the current systems, they are not fit or designed to handle huge amounts of data, let alone process and analyze it. Therefore, any perceived value that any organization might have on its system, they might not take full advantage of it. One possible solution is the big data analytics. So what's big data? We put together our own definition based on our understanding of what big data is. According to our definition, big data is a term which refers to vast amounts of digital data, including structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data, typically measured in either petabyte, exabyte, or zettabyte, which cannot be stored, managed, and processed using traditional tools, or at least cannot be done easily using traditional tools. What are the characteristics of big data? Big data can be characterized in terms of 4 V's. They are volume, velocity, variety, and veracity. Volume denotes the vast amounts of data sets which a system can store. Velocity is the speed at which the data is streamed, the data is generated, or when the data is analyzed. Variety denotes the different types of data that might make up the big data. It could be text, video, voice, etc. Veracity is the uncertainty of data. Sometimes the data might be incomplete. It might have data quality issues. The period of data being analyzed might not be fit for the purpose or for the solutions that the organization is trying to find. What are the possible sources of big data? Well, we have social media such as Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. We've got documents, emails, web blogs, sensors, satellite imaging, clinical imaging scans, video recordings. So there is a variety of sources where the big data comes from. The healthcare sector is known for generating massive amounts of data. Every patient seen, every appointment, every visit there's always a data recorded on the system. Any diagnosis, any outcome, any procedure, any stuff a patient comes into contact with, there's always data or a record that's kept on the system. Therefore, there are massive potential for the big data which can aid the healthcare sector in taking an advantage of the massive amount of data they might have across multiple systems. For example, the organization I work for, the University Hospital of North Staffordshire, has over 30 transactional systems. The trust sees, on average, 750,000 of patients every year, has over 7,500 employees. So there's a massive potential there for big data so we can take advantage of by employing any techniques which can be used by my organization and any other organization within the healthcare sector for a possible strategic advantage. For example, within the healthcare sector, there are mainly four areas where big data can be useful. Can be used within clinical operations, management, public health, and research. And the possible use within the clinical operations encompasses clinical decision support systems, transparency about medical data, remote patient monitoring, advanced analytics applied to patient profile, help recognize trend and possibly put measures in place to provide the best course of treatment, apply analytics to a diversified set of information such as prescription records, diagnosis, treatment, and other information that can assist doctors in diagnosing any health problems. Within management, analysis applied within big data can actually be used by the management to support in their day-to-day operational or decision-making process. In public health, big data can be used to improve public health in its surveillance and response. It can be also used in the detection of infectious diseases and comprehensive outbreak surveillance, and also to help detect any new diseases. And in research, can be used to improve any clinical trial design. The insights gained from analyzed data could be used within the research field to potentially improve the ways of developing new drugs, administer any medical treatment. Although we highlighted without highlighting possible any potential advantage of big data, there are organizations who tend to adopt it, need to be aware of, and possibly put any measures in place and any place to mitigate. Some of the issues can be divided into 5 broad categories. Called legal rights, data privacy, data protection, technical and cultural barriers. Legal rights is who owns the data. Is the entity holding the data, or for example the patient or the customer? For companies like, organizations like Facebook, Google, a simple terms and conditions signed by a customer, by any user, could be enough to have ownership of data. But in the healthcare sector, this is a much more complicated issue. Data privacy, this is one of the hottest, one of the most talked about topics. When we talking about the old tools, there's a way of, for example, keeping the privacy of the customer, of patient, during the analysis of the data. But within big data, this is a bit much more complicated because it's supposed to be an open source, an open source. Therefore, there's a potential any information, any sensitive information might be disclosed, it might be seen by unauthorized personnel. Data protection is another issue. Of course, when we talk about data, there's a need to have. We need to make sure it's secured. We need to make sure it's kept away from any preying eyes. We'll be seeing many data breaches recently. So the protection of data, the security of data, becomes an important topic when we're dealing with large amounts of data. Technical issues, another possible barriers for any companies, any organization trying to adopt the big data analytics, need to have the proper infrastructure in place to hold, to save the data, to keep the data, to analyze and process it. It needs to invest on the human resources. You need to train staff, any technical staff, to become possibly data scientists. The cultural barriers. Any company that decides adopting big data has to and must change its culture. A culture whereby decisions are taken solely from experience and gut feeling to decision where big data can assist in a decision-making process. This starts from the top management level up to the lower hierarchies of the organization. Now I'm going to pass over to my colleague Victor, who's going to take us through the rest of the presentation.
Hello, my name is Victor, and I worked together with Yoane looking at big data. I concentrated more on the trends of big data, and I looked at some of the success stories that we do have at this stage. And you probably, some of you may have noticed that in big data, it's not all organizations that are moving at the same pace in actually accepting this, what appears like a new revolution. But big data, from our research, I think we accepted the fact that it was in existence all this time. It's only that the trends, how organizations and how people are responding to big data is what has appeared to change over time. This appears to be more acceptance of big data in finance and insurance industry, where they seem to be investing a lot more in infrastructure that tends to help these organizations revolutionize their practice so that they are more adept to take the advantages and opportunities that are being presented by big data. Other industries that seem to be investing a lot more in research and development or innovation in the area of big data include the manufacturing industry, the construction industry, retail services, the government and real estate. There's appeared to be a slow take-on from the education industry, for instance, and like Yoane said, from the health services, there appears to be a lot more caution with how they are accepting this concept of big data. From our own analysis, it appears as if there is still a lot more to do with the privacy concerns, confidentiality issues in healthcare, ownership issues, and the legal issues, as has been mentioned already by my colleague Yoane. Right. Now, looking at some of the trends in big data, as more organizations became more interested in big data and were looking at big data as an opportunity, there is enough evidence to suggest that between all the years up to 2013, a lot more organizations, especially the big giants like Google, IBM, Teradata, they've all been trying to build up on the infrastructure in big data. And by infrastructure, we're looking at the equipment and the technology that these organizations require for them to improve the storing, the transmission, the scalability of big data. And more important to these big organizations was also the speed and also the cost of managing this information. And the big question remained, how can organizations make this information useful? The issues around privacy, have also seen a trend in some organizations investing a lot of research and development into how to make big data useful, but at the same time being able to have organizations maintaining their privacy whilst they are working with big data or also contributing to big data. And we've also seen the development of virtual applications which allow the recreation of human-like behavior on computers, is utilizing the information that's available and trying to use that in real business opportunities and decision making. There's also a trend on organizations trying to recruit talent or people that they felt would be skilled enough to cope with big data. Organizations try to know how they performed in the last years, what are the estimates of how they're going to perform in the future, what are the probable changes given the information that's available, about competitors and about different changes within the environment, the business environment. They need staff or skilled personnel that will be able to to manage the storage, the transmission, making sure that all this information can be made available on time and can actually be scaled down to what the specific details of it or pieces of information that are required in decision making. And there's also been a development of appropriate software to help managers within businesses understand more information that's available to them. And there's certainly been a development of software that helps with the visualization of some of this information, where the use of graphs, pictures, help managers that are not particularly skilled in sophisticated techniques of managing or big data, to understand the concepts that they need to understand for them to make decisions. There has been some success stories around the concept of big data. For example, CodeMatch is actually a search engine that was designed to help people suffering from cancer to find a match from a blood donor. That process used to take a long time to do, but now it can be done in a matter of a few minutes to hours because of CodeMatch. Google has also done a research, and it was a research to find out about the spread of the flu virus. It normally would take a scientist, if they do a similar research, it normally would take them about 5 days before they can actually give feedback onto feedback about the results or information that is needed. But it took Google only 1 day to give feedback because they were taking advantage of big data. Then we also have Wipro, which is a global information technology company that took up a project with Agnic. Agnic is a big data analytics company, and what they were looking at, applications within cars, and trying to find out how much of all these applications with cars are actually in use at the moment, what are customer preferences with regards to cars and the applications that they want. And they were also trying to get as much information as they need about consumer preferences regarding that. It's a project which at the moment has been considered successful. There are many other projects that have been trialed. We have found out that the German team, the German football club, which the German national team in World Cup football, they won the World Cup, by the way, and we found out during our research that they took advantage of big data in trying to find out about their players. How much running were they doing? What levels of performance did each of them give to the team? And the impact of whatever team strategies that they were using during and before the tournament. Those are some of the success stories that we do have. But it also goes without mentioning the fact that at the moment it seems Google has become a home's favorite, where if many people want to find out a bit more about people, it could be about the actors that they want to know more about, it could be about the favorite sport that they want, it could be about education, an important topic that they want. It's quite simple and easy to do that. You just text whatever topic you want and you get vast amounts of information on what you want. Obviously, the issues remain around, how to serve through that information so that you can relate mainly to sources from reliable sources. But those are some of the downsides of big data. Is it a fad? Is it a solution? Well, it's a fad in that, well, I'd rather say, information supporting that it could be a fad is the fact that at the moment it's difficult for anyone going through massive amounts of information to scale it down to what you actually need. Sometimes if you do, for example, type in a word on Google, it might not necessarily be what, the information on what you're looking for, but you get vast amounts of information. So actually, scaling that to the information that you need remains a problem. But apart from the privacy and apart from the technical issues and protection concerns, we conclude, or we think that big data is actually growing every minute, and organizations in responding to big data, they're actually going in the right direction. We've seen more and more technology, we've seen more and more innovation, all building up on how to make a good use of big data. There's been a development of a lot more, databases, software, and infrastructure around, how to improve storage, and how to improve the speed. Even though we're talking about compressed data, as data is becoming more and more compressed with the infrastructure that is being developed at present, we have seen an improvement in how this information can actually be accessed and transmitted to various servers, because of developments in technology around big data. So in that way, it's actually pointing towards the right direction. There was the development of Hadoop and the development of NoSQL, which both have been the basis for a lot more projects, that are aimed at improving or creating, convergent systems where you have all-in-one systems that can store, that you can access specific information with speed, and that can transmit to a lot of users or different servers, and the systems are becoming more and more improved in that they can even pick up faults at any stage within that system. We've also seen a development of virtual machines or virtual applications, which, because the machines are now being developed in a way that they can actually learn and develop themselves from the information that is going through them, and then try to recreate, real situations and provide information that can be used for real situations. From that point of view, we concluded that big data is more of a solution than it is a fad, even though we do acknowledge there's still a lot more work to be done. For any questions, I think I've come to the end of this presentation. If you would like some references, they will be available on our website, which is www.fed or solutions website. That is the information on our website, www.fedorsolution.co.uk. We're also on Twitter, www.twitter.com/fedorsolution. You can put your questions there, and we will be able to respond them. But from myself and Yoane, we say thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.